Hi there. People ask me all the time, how much does it really cost to open a cannabis shop in Canada? And I almost always respond, it's a complex answer. My name is Cy Williams, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Canada's longest-running cannabis culture and business platform, Hi Canada Magazine. And I'm here to break down exactly what it takes to open a legal cannabis shop here in Canada in 2024. Now, following the legalization of cannabis in Canada, each province was given complete authority over the decisions regarding the production and distribution of cannabis in their provinces. Now, most provinces permit individuals to obtain licenses and operate cannabis shops and even sell cannabis online. But if you want to start a cannabis shop, let me tell you, there is no easy road. You will have to follow the regulations of the province and municipality that you want to open your cannabis shop in, and that's a very important thing to consider. Most rules on how to start are still ambiguous at best and grossly undefined at worst. The best advice for anyone starting in this industry is to talk to a cannabis business professional, a business consultant. Now today I'm going to cover how much does it really cost to open a cannabis shop in Canada. Now firstly, there are initial capital requirements. The initial capital requirements for a cannabis shop in Canada can range between $150,000 and $2 million. Now, this doesn't mean you need $2 million before starting a cannabis shop. This is an approximate cost that you may have to spend if you are planning to open a cannabis shop in Canada. You will still have enough time to raise capital for your cannabis shop in between applying for licenses and choosing your location and figuring out exactly what your business plan is. You can seek help from family and friends and lenders so you can get enough funds to open up your cannabis shop. Now, if you emphasize the most important aspects of the process and reduce overhead expenditures, you can start your cannabis shop with a lot less money. This cost basically covers application expenses for obtaining a license, purchasing or creating your own cannabis infrastructure, and recruiting employees. Capital requirements also demonstrate that you can manage the business financially in terms of operations. And I believe some provinces require proof of this before your cannabis license or business even starts. Liquid assets that will keep your company afloat during bad times could be the proof that you need here. You'll need money in order to order cannabis shop equipment, as well as security and marketing, wholesale product purchases, and then other costs. Now, before getting into specifics, it's always a good idea to know the range of your general costs, since this will give you an estimate on how much money you could spend on this journey. Okay, so I'm going to list off some of the various startup costs and what they include, and these parts should really be included in your cannabis shop budget. So licenses required to open a cannabis shop in Canada. You'll need 3 licenses to start your own cannabis shop in Canada. The first step is to submit an application for a retail operator license. The retail store authorization comes next, followed by the Cannabis Retail Manager License. It's 3 licenses. The application must adhere to the format outlined. You cannot apply for a retail store authorization license without first submitting an application for a retail operator license. Now, a sole proprietor, someone who chooses to operate as both the manager and the owner of a shop or a specific store, is exempt from applying from all 3 licenses. They may not need to obtain a retail cannabis license. They'll need to obtain a retail cannabis license management license in this case. Then there's the cost of the licenses. The retail operator license costs around $6,000 and is valid for 2 years. It has a 4-year renewal price of $4,000 on it. The retail store authorization license costs $4,000 for a 2-year term, $3,500 for a 4-year renewal. The cost of a retail manager's license, an ROL, is $750 for a 2-year term, with a $500 renewal charge or $1,000 fee for a 4-year term renewal. You might also need documentation for ROL Documents such as founding documents, shareholder information, schematic diagrams, tax assessments and returns, financial statements, and background verifications are some examples of the documentation you might need. These documents may not be required at the time of the application submission. However, it is preferable to submit it in advance. Otherwise, the entire licensing process may be slowed down. Now, location costs for cannabis shops are a very important thing to plan for. There are a few more regulations to consider, or you risk being turned down by the licensing body. Retail cannabis establishments must meet specific conditions according to the Cannabis License Act of 2018. These include that the cannabis shop has to be in a reserve or municipality that is a part of the retail cannabis program. Municipalities can set the hours of operation. Cannot be located within 150 meters of schools. Only approved cannabis items, as well as cannabis accessories such as rolling papers and pipes, may be sold at the cannabis shop. It can't be used for anything else. Okay, location, location, location. Where you set up shop is a major investment. If you want to open a cannabis shop in Canada, you have to be specific in your location. The cannabis shop must operate from a location that the municipalities approve of, yet at a place that is easily accessible by the patrons and your patients. The landlord must be comfortable with the idea of a cannabis shop running from their premises. So you'll have to go out into the market and get an idea about the cost of the locations you're interested in, as well as make sure that they are both compliant and accessible. You can also list your cannabis shop inventory and merchandise online and start an e-commerce store on top of your brick and mortar. Okay, we've covered that. Let's talk about advertising restrictions, and you should really know about that. Sadly, here in Canada, there are advertising restrictions in all provinces. The Cannabis Act, which governs the entire country, imposes strict limitations on advertising and marketing. The following are the 5 main prohibitions on cannabis advertising. Restrictions on publicity by adding testimonials or endorsements from clients, celebrities, or employees. It's a no-no. Not pricing information of cannabis except at the point of sale. Can't put them in the ads or in your advertising. No appeal or advertisement near children or minors. Restrictions on making cannabis appear glam, cool, or exciting. Not depicting characters, people, or animals, whether fictitious or real. So basically, you wouldn't have to invest much money in advertising about your cannabis shop, as it's pretty restricted by the federal government, sadly. Next is staffing costs. You will absolutely need expert and experienced employees, and that costs money. Hiring a winning team has always played a crucial role in the establishment of any business, and a cannabis shop is no exception. As a cannabis business owner, although you may have a clear vision of how you want things to run, how you want things to go in your shop, you will find it difficult to put your plans into action without the help of an expert team. Furthermore, the cannabis market provides several job prospects. However, the shop owner is accountable for handling such processes, and there is a need of funds. It would be beneficial if you had a team of motivated, experienced, and well-trained individuals ready to take the company from startup all the way up to conglomerate status. Employees need to get salaries. You'll need to set up a payment plan as soon as you begin operations on that. The size of your shop and the number of positions you need to fill will dictate the number of employees you need to hire. You will need security personnel at certain locations, store managers, bud tenders, supervisors, and a marketing team. Employee compensation will average $200K a year based on the industry standard estimates. And let's not forget about IT, setup, hardware and software costs, because cannabis businesses need computers. They need POS systems, they need Wi-Fi, and much more to operate successfully. Interestingly, every inch of the dispensary space could be holding thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Additionally, you will also need a robust security system to secure your cannabis shop from break-and-enters, thieves, and other troublemakers and riffraff out there. I would also suggest good POS software for your business that is both compliant and innovative, which leads to our next topic, inventory management, which is one of the most important aspects of running a cannabis shop that I can think of. Having an efficient inventory control system in place is critical. And in Canada, cannabis shops must keep a very watchful eye on their inventory due to all the government regulations we have. Inventory audits and discrepancy reports are practically impossible without a POS system in place to handle inventory data in real time, which can result in costly compliance infractions that drive cannabis shops right out of business. You'll have to find a vendor to supply products to your cannabis shop. Make sure they are well placed in terms of quantity so you don't have to worry about supply chain issues. Let's see, you could also have multiple vendors to avoid any last minute setbacks depending on where you are. When you're ordering products for the first time, to set up your cannabis shop, don't order in excess. Instead, try a carefully curated approach. Also, you will need to have a stable inventory management process in place. And if you lose track of what you have, you may find yourself with an excess of products and no place to put them and nobody wants to buy them. Worse, if your records aren't up to date, you risk running out of supplies and endangering your clients' health, well-being, and whether or not they're going to come back to your store. Okay, last but not least, in this competitive sector, staying mindful of cannabis shop costs is critical. Bringing money in is necessary for profitability. However, if costs go too high, this may become a severe issue. Closely monitor your cannabis shop expenses on a regular basis and make the necessary adjustments. Concentrate on the expenses that have the most impact on your company's success and go from there. So, in conclusion, opening a cannabis shop in Canada can be a complex and expensive process, but with the right planning and the right resources, it is definitely achievable, and it can become one of the most rewarding careers of your entire life. But understanding the costs involved and having a clear business plan will be crucial in navigating the regulations and establishing a successful and compliant cannabis business in Canada. Okay, well, that was a lot to say. That's the long answer. That's it for me right now. I hope you learned something about the real costs of starting your own cannabis shop here in Canada. Of course, we didn't even speak on buying a pre-existing shop or perhaps signing up as a franchise owner, which are also definitely options you may want to consider. Okay, cheers. Don't forget to stay high, stay happy, Canada, and I'll talk to you next time.